Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson.
Oh my gosh, we can see your face.
You know what?
It's pretty.
You know what? There.
Hi.
Now we see you.
I'm never gonna look at the camera though, because I'm always looking over here at your stuff. The setup keeps getting more complicated. I can't keep up.
So yeah, we have upgraded a couple things. Got the visuals in place now without hiding behind the keyboard.
Thanks to last minute run to Best Buy.
Heck yeah.
I made you tell me ahead of time so I can actually take a shower.
Jeez. All right. So last time
we got through the entire process, and if I had my notes, if you hadn't taken away my thing, then I'd be able to tell you this more, but we got through the entire process of setting up the environment. There were 4 steps to that. I think the next step we were going to get to was adding additional libraries and things, or stuff, something.
Yes.
I don't have my notes.
So I kind of took some homework back and decided that I was going to
I'm going to have even more fun derailing you now.
So I took some homework back after last time.
Okay.
And basically I was trying to set up our Nowarmyknife app over here. This guy. I was trying to set up so that we could do a little more to get started this time. I put a little more structure in place. And kind of real quick, I did end up publishing what I called the express-rollup-template on GitHub. So you can actually pull this down. This is a project template that has everything that we've discussed over the last couple episodes and a few additional things. Basically, what I am starting with today on nowarmyknife is the express rollup template. So if I jump over to GitHub.
You're one of those 2 to 3 tab people, aren't you?
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh. How do you live?
I can't do more than maybe 4 tabs.
I don't have 10. It's a slow day. I'm not as bad as some people I know, though. Anyway.
So I've got this template out there, and it has, like I said, everything we're starting with today is basically the express rollup template. There are instructions for how to install it and how to get started with it on here, and some guidance on the folder structure, which we're going to discuss here anyway. So you can hop on over to TL Tolson on GitHub, and you can hit up my express rollup template to actually get started with playing around with some of the Docker Node.js goodness that we're diving into today.
You kind of whispered on that, saying what your GitHub thing was. So why don't you say it a little louder?
TL Tolson.
/ express rollup
/
template.
express rollup template.
Okay. Just making sure. Don't know if you have any secret accounts on GitHub or anything.
No, I don't think so.
You're posting code behind my back.
All right, so that's basically where we left off. Now, I have added a few things in here. You'll see down here I've got the Redux and SnapDOM libraries. Those are going to be for UI side. I don't know if we're going to use those tonight, but I threw them in there anyway. Aside from that, I've got PostCSS, which is probably going to be similar to Redux and SnapDOM. One of those things we'll probably get to, but it basically lets you import CSS into JavaScript files.
Ooh.
Really great for creating components. Then we've got the rollup Babel. Babel, which is our ES6 to ES5 transpiler. Rollup, which is going to bundle our client-side code. NodeMon and Live Reload, which basically makes it so that whenever I make changes to the application, it will automatically refresh. I guess I kind of have to show that one because I talked about it last time but didn't actually show it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do that. I think I've already got this guy running, so let's check my containers. Yep, you can see now Army-Knife web is already running. And so let's, what port is that on?
Should have made it web with 2 B's to pay homage to our friend.
I might change that.
I think you should.
Not right now, but I will change that.
That could be homework for this week.
So this is going along with the express rollup template. This is how this is set up. You can specify what port the web server runs on. So if I go to my localhost 9000, we've got our little hello world. Live reload is operating on port 899, so you can configure everything you need to configure, or in theory anyway. Everything you should need to configure, you should be able to configure from here. And then the now Army-Knife, the app name here is basically what your library bundles down into. So if I inspect element and come in here, there's a now Army-Knife that has a couple functions on it. Yay!
Nice.
Yay.
Oh my god.
All right, so
the thing you have on GitHub does all this already, so you just have
yes.
to download it and you can make things?
Yep.
So you did all the boring parts.
All the boring parts are done.
Nice.
So basically what happens here is that, let's say I come in, so this is, this hello world is the root route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, root route. Which is coming from right here. So basically my API folder contains all the server-side code. So if I wanted to go to /users, which you can see right here, see how it's specifying /users?
Mm-hmm.
When you go to /users, it's going to send a response with the message, hello Bob.
Why Bob?
It was just kind of what I did. So if I went to users, you get the message, hello Bob.
Cool.
And as I said, I have it set up so that if I were to make a change on the fly here, save it.
It'll just like...
Oh, it didn't work. That's not good.
Why didn't it work?
I don't know.
You broke it.
Network.
Do you have to refresh it? There it goes.
Well,
but it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to just do it.
No, yeah, it's supposed to automatically do it. So let me try that one more time just to see. I broke its dip.
How did you manage that?
I don't know. Let's see.
Travis troubleshoots his code.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like how you never cuss when you're doing this.
I don't know. Just kind of.
You're always so chill when you troubleshoot this code, but when you help me troubleshoot my code.
Well, your code is different.
What do you mean by that?
Your code is different.
Yeah, I find new and inventive ways to...
Live reload port is 8999. 8999.
999.
I don't know why. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it right now because...
We're doing a thing.
We're doing a thing, and it's working. So, for the most part.
Just have to refresh.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to do the reload until I figure out why live reload wasn't working on that. But, so this is where I put all of my server-side routes. So basically your URLs. This is where the URLs handlers go.
Oh, so like if you do sub pages in this little thing you're doing, each one is a thing.
Right.
I know my very hyper specific language is just amazing.
Let me do something real quick. Let me compose down.
It's killing you why that's not doing the thing, isn't it?
Well, I also am not getting my output because I don't have my terminal up. So I'm going to Docker compose up build on now Army-Knife. So it's creating. NodeMon is now watching. You can see down here where it has automatically loaded those routes. So as I add new routes to the API folder, it will automatically detect them when it reloads.
Oh, okay.
So for example, if I change Bob to Sarah and save, you notice that NodeMon down here picked it up.
Yeah.
NodeMon detected that I made a change, rebooted the server with the changes, and then automatically loaded the routes again. So that's what's going on with the server-side stuff. Now, with the client side, this is over here. You can see I've got some test functions. Let's get rid of test 2 and test 3. Over here in the, not the bin, sorry, in the public folder, I have my bundle. This is what's actually getting built. So if I save my index.js and then go back to my bundle, you'll see that the test 2 and test 3 functions are now gone. So it automatically rebuilt that particular bundle. And now, if I was paying attention, if I saw what I think I saw, I believe it automatically reloaded. So if I come in here to now armyknife dot, nope, it didn't. Still got test 2. So let's reload. Test 2 is now undefined, but test is not.
Oh, okay.
So, yay again.
Like how you go back to the yay.
Yay.
Are you trying to like make me groan more than you do at my jokes?
Yes.
Are we in a competition?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to start like a counter or something.
All right. So, what we want to do is we want to integrate to ServiceNow.
Did you get your instance fixed?
I did.
Since you like locked yourself out of it.
I did. I was messing around with the installation exits earlier, is what Sarah's talking about, and I managed to lock my, or no, sorry, I was messing around with the multi-factor authentication, and I was trying to hack something, and it didn't work, and I got locked out of the instance. Brad Tilton had to save me.
And he did.
He did. He's my hero. What was I doing?
Okay. We were going to integrate into your dev instance.
Right. Okay, so the first thing I need is I need to add a library called Axios. I think that's the one I'm going to go with.
Another library?
Yeah, so this one is for REST, connecting to REST APIs. So it lets you make connections to REST endpoints like the ones that ServiceNow has.
This requires so much like pieces and parts that you have to just know how to put together.
Well, unlike ServiceNow, ServiceNow comes with a lot of APIs ready to go. I mean, it's all there for you, and that's one of the advantages of building on an established platform. But when you're doing something on like Node.js, where, your platform has APIs, but it's like bare bones stuff. We're talking
like wild west of coding. You're on the frontier, and you gotta like build the town you want to exist or whatever.
Well, you at the very least have to recruit the people you want to live in your town.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you end up having to pull in a lot of different libraries because a lot of really smart people have already done the hard work of building this stuff out.
So is that why a lot of people go with like React or Webpack or whatever and just download?
Yeah.
Because then all the APIs are just there.
Yes. I mean, essentially, React, the Create React app is basically a more refined version of my express-rollup-template. It's a template with predefined ways of handling things, and as long as you handle it within that framework, you're fine. It's when you try to go outside that framework that things start to fall apart.
Okay. So can you make now components in like just React or?
In theory.
Like, cause I have a number of people coming to me and asking like, and I know this is a rabbit trail, but it's a good one. put the camera on me and now I don't remember what I was talking about.
Jeez.
No, I have a lot of people that have asked me, okay, Sarah, I'm jumping to the ServiceNow platform and I want to do Service Portal, but I know Service Portal is on its way to the Happy Hills retirement home.
Yeah.
Which it's not, but don't even get me started. So they asked me, do I learn AngularJS or do I learn React so I can build components on the Now Experience framework? And I'm like, well, we're still a ways away from the Now Experience framework being like the thing that clients are expecting us to build on. So, if you're getting into the platform, go ahead and learn the Service Portal. But like React isn't exactly the thing that we're jumping to. So like, what do you tell people in that situation? Because I don't want to have to tell them they have to learn all these things and put their custom thing together just to build a special button that's not the ServiceNow button.
Yeah, so I mean, that's tough because on one hand, you've got Service Portal, which uses AngularJS, but I mean, it's not really AngularJS.
No, it's the Diet Coke of AngularJS.
Yeah, I mean, it really does strip down a lot of what you would normally have to set up in an AngularJS app and exposes just enough for you to build the components you need. So, I mean, it's helpful to know AngularJS, but at the same time, knowing AngularJS isn't...
It's not going
to get you off the ground. Like, I went into Service Portal knowing AngularJS pretty thoroughly.
And it's faster because you were like, okay, here's how to do a glide record.
It still took me time to learn how Service Portal did things. Yeah. And the same is kind of true with the new Now Experience framework, because I mean, you've got JSX, which React uses JSX, but it's not the same framework. It's not even close to the same framework. I mean,
you're going to have all those special glide record-like calls and things that on top of it that do a lot of the work for you or whatever. But, there's a million different probably resources out there for JSX to get an idea of syntax and what the language can do natively. But what it doesn't tell you is all that extra stuff that ServiceNow puts on top of it. So JSX might be a good language basis to pursue. Because if you can understand JSX and how it's put together, that'll prepare you for whatever ServiceNow has put into the...
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly not going to hurt. Mm-hmm. Knowing AngularJS definitely helped me bridge the gap to Service Portal.
And those resources, as I've learned it and everything, those resources have been very helpful in giving me extra tools and learning how to do scripting in Service Portal. Yes?
Do you want to come on camera?
No. The 11-year-old doesn't want to come on camera. But you could. All right.
We are running low on cookies.
We are running low on cookies.
All right, got it, kiddo. And this is why we call it Fifth Grade Live. I'm going to have somebody in the community at me and be like, hey, Sarah, don't forget to get those cookies. And then I will know I have made it in the world.
There you go.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, thank you for that clarification, because that's a question that I get asked a lot because people assume I know what I'm doing. I'm like...
Well, yeah, like I said, it's not going to hurt you to know these things. It was definitely beneficial for me to have experience in React when learning the Now Experience framework. At the same time, don't go into it thinking that just because you know one, you're going to know the other.
Yeah.
There's still a learning curve to it.
And that's not even touching the learning curve for figuring out how the components go together and what, even though it's no code, what all those different options mean. You have to understand the code behind it and what you're actually wiring together. So there's really not a point in it being low code. UI Builder being the low code tool, that's a completely different beast entirely. So my pencil. But anyway, so yes, I had to take you down at least one rabbit trail, but that answers my question. But Anywho, so...
All right, so we've now got the Axios library in here.
And remind me again, why do we need the Axios library?
That is what's going to allow our server API on the Node.js app to connect to the REST APIs on ServiceNow. So let's see. How do I want to go about this? So are you like going to give it your
username and password and just like
yes.
log in for you?
Yes. That's exactly what we're going to do, and that's part of what I'm trying to figure out right now. So the first thing that I'm going to do, usually you don't want to do this.
You're going to break something.
Let's... Let's do this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to go with this. We're just going to go with it. It's a bad idea, but
just gonna do it.
We're just going to do it. So I'm going to create this auth.js. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create... we'll do export var username and export var password. Now, for anybody who like has spent more than 5 seconds on a computer, you probably know this is a terrible idea. You should never put your username and password in plain text, like anywhere.
That was what I was thinking, and even in a from like a breaking the fourth wall standpoint, like don't put your username and password out there on this recording for everybody to see, please.
I'm not going to. I'm gonna do a cutaway.
I figured you would, but I was like, so how is he going to do this without showing it?
But
so how do you get around the whole plain text thing?
Well, for now I'm not. For now I'm just going to stick it in plain text. One thing I'm going to do though is add a .getignore, and I don't remember the format. Getignore. Do I just put the file name?
I thought you did it already. You did it in another place, and
yeah, I did it on another one. I think I just do... Here, we'll try this. API/auth.js. I think that's all I need to do. Yeah, see how it removed it from... It's no longer in my list of changes?
Oh.
So if I turn around and remove that and save, it adds it back right there.
But we want to have it in the getignore, so you're not putting your username and password up on Git.
In the
like,
hey, exactly.
Instance.
So this is kind of a
be a good backup if you ever lock yourself out again.
This is kind of a cheap way of protecting your credentials. It's not a good way. Ideally, what you would want to do is either have some sort of secret store, password locker sort of thing, where you access your credentials through that, which Docker does have, and we may look into that, look into moving the credentials there at some point. But for now, just to get going, we'll go with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut over to Sarah real quick.
No.
Yep, there you are. Look at you. And I'm going to take my username and password for my personal dev instance.
I can't make faces when you have me on the camera.
And I'm going to plug those into that file. And save and close. Shh, don't tell nobody.
Oh, I'm totally going to tell him. I never
Rude.
Password was my birthday.
Rude.
You won't forget it.
Yeesh.
Unless you're using a password locker, then you won't remember it.
Oh, Lord.
Sorry.
So one of the things I do want to point out down here is you notice that it's still only automatically loading index and users automatically from our routes.
Why is that?
because I have the this framework is specifically set up that it looks for a router, an export named router. So if you have exported an express router, then it will load that router. Absent that, it ignores the file. So you can put additional files like our little auth.js here. You can put that in there. So now what I want to do is I want to create a new endpoint. And
what's an endpoint?
It's URL. Endpoint is a URL.
Okay. So when you talk about the ServiceNow endpoints like you did in that one article, which I kind of half read because I wasn't quite there yet, is that like just URLs
So URL.
that you can hook into?
Yep. So behind the URL is a server that handles that behavior, like a scripted REST endpoint in ServiceNow.
Oh, that was the other thing I was thinking of, the scripted REST.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway.
what we're creating here, this express route, is ExpressJS's version of ServiceNow's scripted REST endpoints.
Okay.
It's the same concept. So I'm going to call this one graffiti because that is what you wanted to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this users one and I'm just going to copy it because it has the basic scaffold that I need. And the basic scaffold here is I'm exporting a router. The router comes from ExpressJS. I'm creating a new router. And then I am saying I'm creating a get handler. That's for the HTTP get command. So that's an HTTP get on /users. Whenever somebody goes to /users, this function will run and it will send this response.
Okay.
Now, that's the basic setup. And if I save that, once again, you'll see down here that it has automatically loaded graffiti because I exported a router.
Okay.
Pretty
It's just like you just put that little line of code in there, right? Just general router export thing?
Yeah.
That same line.
Yep.
2 lines.
Yeah. You have to have... this is the basic scaffold right here.
Okay.
You have to have an export of a router. That router has to be an express router, which means you have to create a router. And then you have to assign that router some kind of route. You have to assign it to a URL and an HTTP command.
Okay. So like those bottom 3 lines, if I were to copy and paste this into a new file that I wanted to set a router for, like those last 3 lines are realistically the only thing I'd have to change.
Pretty much.
I learned by syntax and what it is.
So, for example, right now, you can see that when I went to graffiti, it says error.
Well, you didn't change it from users.
Correct. So if I come in here to users and change that to graffiti, save it, you'll see the reload down at the bottom. Refresh, and there you go. We got the Hello Sarah message.
Why is it in JSON format?
Because I have passed it JSON. Or I've passed it a JavaScript object.
Okay. Can you pass it like anything?
You can pass it HTML. You'll want to go to the Express. Not on this one. Let's do it on this one. ExpressJS. If you come here, they have a full API reference and a guide, especially on how to handle routing. So you can have get, post. Those are the 2 main ones I use. I don't usually bother with the other ones.
It tells you like what you can put in there or not. So
yep.
if it does HTML, then I could put like a whole thing in there.
Yep. And you'll notice here that I am using, see the little tick marks?
Yeah.
I'm using ES6 template literals.
What's a template?
Basically, it's a multi-line string that allows you to inject JavaScript variables. So for example, if I wanted to, I could come in here and say user. And then if I created a var user equal to Sarah, it will do what is called interpolate. and it will interpolate those variables.
It's like a $3 word right there. Oh, check that
See?
out. And you're putting that all in your job. I do not like the HTML in the JavaScript. And I know that's what ServiceNow actually does for service portal widgets, but it just bothers me.
You know, this has become more and more the current trend in JavaScript is to put HTML, CSS. I mean, right now, if you bundle most modern web apps, everything gets bundled. Like ServiceNow's now experience components, the CSS gets compiled into JavaScript.
And I know, but and I mean, I'm not even one of those people that has to keep their food separated on their plate, but this is what that feels like. It's that level of discomfort.
Well, and one of the cool things is that you'll notice that this here, see how it changes the syntax highlighting? I'm using a plugin in VS Code that will allow you to highlight inside of these multi-line strings.
Oh.
So if I put CSS in there, I can say that it's CSS, or I can say that it's HTML, and it will give me syntax highlighting for that language. And those characteristics make this a really powerful way of doing things. And as we get into the client side, building components, you'll see why this is such an advantage, because basically it gives you that service portal style template, CSS, all bundled in one, which used to be a lot harder to pull off. But so back to the graffiti aspect. What I actually want to do is I want to import, and I don't even know how to do this, to be honest. It's been too long since I've done Axios.
We'll figure it out.
So Axios is a required default. So import Axios from Axios. So that's importing from the library that we pulled in.
Yeah.
And I got an error.
Warning, danger, Will Robinson.
Error, cannot find package, Axios import.
Can't find your package.
Cannot find package, Axios imported from...
Should it be like something more specific than just Axios?
I don't think so.
I blame it on the YAML.
Let me see if I can find an example. No. Weird. Import Axios. Let's see. Import Axios from Axios. Yep. And I do have Axios down there. Let me check the Docker container and make sure that Axios is in the node modules. So user, source, app, node modules. And
I didn't see it.
I don't see it either.
Is it? Would it be under some other name?
Let's see. Did I miss something? Hey, how's it going, Kevin? Got Kevin Eldridge in here. Gosh. All right, here's what we're going to do. I am going to stop that container. I'm going to blow the container off and rebuild it.
It's not very nice. Y'all made plans a while ago.
Okay, we've loaded. Okay, I think we work now. No
What
errors.
did you do? You just turn it off and turn it back on?
I turn it off, turn it back on again. Docker caches things, and it caches the images, and I don't know. Or maybe I didn't save the package .json before I
Server
rebooted.
magic.
I'm not real sure, but
works.
whatever happened there, it's working now. It's working, and I don't know why. Oh, no worries, Kevin. We're happy to have you join us late on time. Doesn't matter.
I mean, is there really a like? There's not a schedule, so
Not really.
I mean, you know.
Not at all.
You
Okay.
missed me ranting about the new experience framework, like you know I like to do, but yeah.
All right, so here we go.
So,
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to an async function.
why? Short answer.
So you see how this dot then? You know how you've
Yes.
right in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've worked with the dot then, the thenables as they call them.
Oh yeah, like
On the client side, right?
Server.get, then
Right.
do a thing.
Right. And when you start chaining up multiple asynchronous calls, those thenables, things start to get messy.
Well, I imagine so.
You get a lot of nesting going on, and yeah, pretty much it becomes hard to read the code. And every time you call, even then with promises, you have all of this wrapping around it, and then you have to take action in here. If I were to call another asynchronous call in here, then we're nesting again, and it gets ugly. What async gives us is the ability to use the await keyword, which basically, instead of using that then, what we end up with is we can say,
So you're basically telling it to wait its turn.
yes, exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
So I can say axios.get, and let's take the ServiceNow instance. Let's go to the REST API first, and we'll just kind of grab a random, we'll do incident just to start. And don't worry, we're going to make it graffiti, but right now I just want to.
You're cool. I trust you. I kind of have to in this space because I have my area of expertise, and this is certainly not it. What do I tell my integrations guys all the time? Y'all
No matches found.
not my area.
I don't have an incident table? That can't be right. Well, you know what? I don't really... Why is it taking so long to load tables?
I would do it again. I think you broke the dev.
That kind of worried me.
Man, you were telling me about you breaking the dev before I even knew what a dev was.
Oh gosh, I've been blowing up dev environments forever. All right, so send. Okay, so you can see this call gives us fancy JSON payload, right? And it is a get call to that URL.
Okay.
Okay, so URL, get, and then down here, this is the response we expect to get. Okay. This is the same stuff that you deal with in the service portal widgets when you do c.server.get.
Oh, is this what it does?
This is basically what's happening. The server script is running as a REST endpoint.
Oh.
All of those details are completely hidden from you by the service portal framework, but it is a REST call to that server script.
I tell you, I almost wonder if jumping in and Service Portal being my first foray in JavaScript and all that kind of stuff has almost hampered me because I've not been forced to see what it does. But here we are.
Ew, that's weird. I don't think it really has done you a disservice at all. I mean, we all come in at kind of different entry points. And one of the things that's great about Service Portal is that it kind of gives you a well-structured framework to operate within. And that's not a bad thing because it lets you focus on learning syntax while getting quick results, you know, and that quick results builds confidence. And
it does, especially when I don't want to spend my time scripting stuff. I script what I have to script, but that's not my jam. So Like, I appreciate the service portal has made it easy to get up and get moving and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, it's never bad to have, what this comes down to is it's the difference between an opinionated framework and an unopinionated one. An opinionated framework is very restrictive on what it allows you to do. It gives you really solid guardrails. And an unopinionated one lets you do whatever the heck you want.
you're explaining stuff. You're supposed to have your camera on.
Oh, my bad.
So you said an unopinionated one lets you do whatever you want. So, like, is Service Portal opinionated?
Service Portal is very opinionated.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It has very structured ways of handling things. You're supposed to use the c.server.get. Now, it does have some flexibility. You don't have to. You can use $HTTP.
It's not like a system where there's, like, exactly one way to do things, which we were discussing either on a previous episode or just you and me about how I might, like, was it Python or something? Because there's, like, one way to do things.
Yeah. Python does tend to have, like, one main way of do things. That's one of their, like, mantras. I don't remember exactly how they phrase it, but they do prefer one way to do everything. But yes, Service Portal, those types of environments, those types of opinionated environments give you guardrails that allow you to focus on stuff like business logic, syntax, stuff along those lines.
And it has, because, like, I correct your syntax now.
Yeah. You've gotten really, really good on the code quality side. I have years of bad habits that I still have to unlearn.
Man, I love it though, because like the way you taught me, my code is so clean and it's so easy to read, and like, but you taught me all of the good habits you've learned over the past decade or so, and I've not had to go through learning any bad habits. It's been very nice.
It is beneficial.
I still am learning a lot of what's going on behind what I'm building. But I'm so good at like memorizing syntax and memorizing like pieces of code and what they do that it almost hampers my willingness to take the time to learn what it actually does. I'll just like hammer it I'll just try and error until it works.
Oh Lord.
Kevin wants to learn good coding habits. You should do some co-creative stuff on good coding habits.
Whew. I'll have to I'll probably start with Notebook on that one.
There you go. And at some point, maybe I'll do an article on like design habits or something. I don't know.
Because there's like...
I'm like tired.
I don't know.
But okay, so we have
anyway,
a router,
yeah.
and was that showing that it successfully talks to the system?
So what we were showing before was that it successfully... graffiti. Dang it. Oh, bad. So right now we are successfully talking to our Node.js. Now what I want to do is use the Axios.get to successfully talk to ServiceNow. Now the problem is I think I'm going to get back an error on this one because I'm not passing any kind of credentials. So we'll start with this. And what we're going to do is I am going to return, I'm going to get the response.
Okay.
Let's actually spell that out because we're already using res up here.
I hate that freaking variable name, the res.
RESPCT.
To understand what that was talking about. Response? What do you mean response? And now I get it. But I don't like variable names where you can't tell what they are.
All right, so we saved it. It came up. Here goes nothing. Refresh. Errors. Oh, that's not good. All right, so let's take a look at this. Unhandled promise rejection. Request failed with status 401. That's actually not bad.
What do you mean that's not bad?
That's actually not bad.
By the way, Kevin likes the idea, so you have to do good coding practices now.
Okay,
Yep.
I will have to look into that. 401 status code is unauthorized. Okay, the error it choked on, it probably is working.
You can't come into this instance because you have not given me credentials that say you can join the club.
Okay, but
so now you got to pass it your credentials.
So now you notice how it's still loading up here?
Yes.
Okay, It's stuck. It never received a response. It's stuck.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing I need to do is add a little bit of error handling. And this is one of the huge advantages to async await.
So I've never really done try catch in there. So like, is this something you put in all of your code, or is this just something you put in there as you're developing it out to get it to work? Or
Try catch try catch is a failsafe. You should not rely on try catch, because ideally what you would want to do is handle your errors. You would want to detect that you got a 401 error and deal with that. Now, Axios may encourage the use of try catch. I'm not 100% sure there. But generally speaking, what you want to do is actually handle the errors by saying, if something happened, then do this. But there are unanticipated errors, and that is when you want to use try catch. So try catch you usually want to put higher up in your code, like broad strokes, like wrap your whole code, your whole script in a big try catch, as opposed to having a bunch of smaller try catches. At least that's how I tend to do it. There are differing opinions on that one.
That's another good topic for an article.
But so what I want to do is I want to respond with the error. And so now what should happen is when I reload, see how it's no longer loading?
Oh, because it knows what to do when it gets an error.
Exactly.
It just says, hey, you've got an error. Okay. So now you probably need to like give it your credentials, right?
Now we need to pull credentials in.
So how are we going to do that?
Okay. So first of all, I have to remember how to do it. So ServiceNow, basic auth rest. I think it's in the headers. So I'm taking a look here. Let's see. Kevin says, if I can help, please let me know. Absolutely, will do. Let's just search basic auth headers, because I'm pretty sure it's the... All right, HTTP authentication, basic auth.
I like how you're showing how you're looking through the documentation.
Oh yeah, I don't have any idea how to do this stuff. I mean, I've done it before, but only by using the documentation. Kevin says he can give me some bad coding practices and I can help him unlearn them. We can do that. We can do that.
That actually would be a really good way
Authorization
to do that.
header.
That would be a really good way to do that series. For us to identify what bad coding practices are and maybe do a corresponding good coding practice to do instead.
That would be fun.
Oh, you could just have me do like a thing and then you can point out all my bad coding practices. Which I don't have a lot.
Authorization. Okay, so I found what I'm looking for. Basically, I have to use the authorization header in the HTTP.
Okay.
Basically, whenever you send a request, and I'll kind of show this one on the network. So if I refresh this page, you see this network request?
Yeah.
There's headers that go with it. Connection, content length, content type, date, e-tag, all these different headers. Basically, to use basic authentication on a REST API, you have to send what's called the authorization header, which is this guy here. So I have to do... So the authorization header should be basic. And I'm actually going to do it the same way they did it with the backticks. Basic, and then some token. Okay.
Okay.
Now, that token is going to come from our authorization. So I need to import user or username and password from
The auth.js,
dot
right?
slash auth.js.
Yeah.
That's coming from the file that I created before that's on gitignore, which I am not going to open because it has my username and password in it. Bad, terrible practices. Kevin says he likes this too. This is what we coders, tech support, everyone in the computer industry do. We search for a solution online using a try-catch. Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, I am falling out on my job of watching the comments.
All right, now I think. All right, so this header is supposed to be base64 encoded. So basically, we take the username, password, and base64 encoded. So what I'm going to do is say var token is equal to username. What am I doing? I can just do this. Username. You see how awesome it is to use this backtick
Yeah.
for string interpolation. No plus quote stuff, no
toString.
no string concatenating. You just
just
jam the
templated.
template in there, right? It's basically a templating engine built natively into JavaScript for ES6 anyway.
That's why we have the thing to take it back to the ancient of days type of Angular JS that ServiceNow.
This is a fluid show. You can watch or not. We, the huddled masses, patiently wait and watch. That's awesome. Okay. Node.js base64 encode. Just give me the code. Buffer to string.
Is it giving you the code?
Not really. JS string to base64. There we go. Apparently I searched for this a little bit. btoa and atab to convert from base64 encoding. btoa accepts a string where each character represents an 8-bit byte. Atab returns a string where each character. Okay, I don't know. Let's try it. No.
What does Miss Frizzle say? Take chances, make mistakes.
Get messy. Absolutely. Unhandled promise rejection. btoa is not defined.
Apparently btoa lives in something you don't have.
Apparently.
Is it like a React thing where you have the 8 million different libraries and stuff?
All right, I guess it's back to Node.js. You try, your error will catch. That's what Kevin was saying. Stack abuse. Oh, I didn't like that one. I didn't feel comfortable with that one.
With stack abuse?
Yeah.
Why not?
Ooh, here we go. Buffers can be used for taking a string or piece of data and doing base64 encoding of the result. Okay. I'm game. Base64. Okay, buffer from that string dot to string base64. Okay, reload. Oh, it reloaded properly. Perfect. Okay, so now, request failed with status code 401.
Same error, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't like what you're handing it.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Please see your system administrator.
Let's go back to ServiceNow. REST API. Consumer example. No, not what I wanted. REST API list. Consumer REST API? No. Let's see. Calling service or calling REST API from script. No, not what I wanted either. I'm not liking this. Axios.get authorization basic token.
Can you find out what you're sending it?
Probably, but then I might expose my username and password.
Well then, like, do it and then put the camera on you so they don't see your username and password. Like.
All right, let's see. All right, we'll give that a shot. Let's see.
See that awesome poster in the background?
Token.
Now that we have cameras, we really do need to put pictures in those frames.
Let's see. I'm struggling on this one. REST API Explorer, authorization. No. This is falling apart.
Okay, well, start at the beginning.
Type should be basic. Credentials. Base64 encoded thingy. Ah, dang it. That's not going to help. I have to save it first. Clear. Okay, now let's switch back to the computer screen. All right, so that didn't give me much information of use. Basic, two-string base64. Let me make sure Axios get request. Get URL data URL config. What's the config? Request config. Ah, I'm not actually passing the headers. My structure's wrong.
There you go.
I need headers. So I was not using the API properly was the problem. I think anyway. We'll find out in a second. Okay. Reload. 401 message request failed with 401 error request failed. Nope. Let's see.
Structure does matter, Kevin.
Yeah, structure definitely matters. So our available config options for making requests. Only the URL is required. Let's see. Axios request. Axios get URL, then config. Headers are custom headers to be sent with. Should be made using credentials. Oh, auth indicates, oh, maybe that's the problem. I don't know, we'll give it a shot. Ain't got nothing to lose. It's not like anything's working right now anyway. Username. Oh. That's part of the problem too, dummy.
You didn't put the password in?
I put token in as the password. Which was definitely not the password.
Bless your heart.
I know.
Syntax, got you again.
It got me again. Password is password.
Dude, don't you know
Okay, that is not what I meant. That is not what I meant.
Only you catch me ahead of time with my stupid.
I know where you're going with this.
Of course, your password's password.
Oh? No, it's not a...
It's not an error.
It's not a 401. It's not what I expected.
But what is it?
I am...
Do you have anything on that page to show if you get in? What are you expecting it to do?
I was expecting it to show me what I saw in the REST API Explorer.
Why would it do that? Just because you log in?
Because I'm hitting the same endpoint that the REST API Explorer was.
Are you?
I am.
You sure?
No.
Why don't you double check that?
API now table incident. Sysparm limit 1. All right, here, let's do this next. Let's do a simple console.log response. Okay, so we're actually getting a response.
It's not a good response, though. It's like the triple dot.
Not the triple dot.
Man, hates triple dot.
Status text. Okay, status. Okay, so
People
we
don't
are...
understand all these little, like, obscure things that we reference.
I don't know. Response for data. Response.data. Let's try response.data. Yep. Response.data. Get rid of my console.log, and I think we have success. Come on, baby. Jace, what's going on, man?
Oh, there you go. You got it.
Awesome.
Jace was like the magic. That
Jace showed up, and it worked.
Jace wants to know what we're doing today. And now Carlos is here, too. So
Hey, Carlos, how's it going?
Catch us up.
All right, so basically what we have been doing is we've been actually setting up our Node.js server to connect to ServiceNow. So basically what we have now is a router on the /graffiti endpoint that is right now just reaching out to the incident table and passing our username and password across. And we're just reaching out and saying hello. And so now we have results coming back from ServiceNow. So this is an integration from Node.js to the ServiceNow server. And now we actually have, proof of concept here that we can connect from our app that we have built in our Docker container on the server sitting next to me up to the ServiceNow instance. So now we can actually start taking a look at doing what what you wanted us to accomplish tonight, which was scrolling something into the ServiceNow instance. Now, I'm kind of with you on this. I want to see if we can do it in like the audit log or something. I don't think we can.
Someplace that it would never. They would
Mid-server
never find
command.
it.
Oh my gosh, no way. It can't be. So Jace asks if I had to set up cores. No, oddly enough. You know what? I think the reason we did not have to set up cores is so cores is a cross-origin request.
I am so glad you're explaining this because that was like absolutely Greek to me.
So
speaking I actually know how to do development.
When you have a web page on, say, codecreative.io, and it reaches out via Ajax to a website like .servicenow.com, that is a cross-origin. ServiceNow and CodeCreative are two different origins.
Okay.
So it's a cross-origin request going from one origin to another. And so you have to specially configure the server, the ServiceNow server, to accept requests from cross-origin. But in this case, we didn't have to, Jace, specifically because this web page is not making the request. Our Node.js, the ExpressJS server is the one that is actually making the request. So it's from server to server, and so cross-origin is no longer an issue.
Okay.
Only the browser deals with cross-origin, I think. It's how it seems to work. I've never seen a server deal with it before. I could be wrong.
All right, so we can talk to it now. It's taking our username and password, and that's freaking awesome. So now we're using the REST API Explorer in ServiceNow to say what we're gonna try and connect to.
This can't be. Oh, this is going to be glorious. All right, request format. Add a field. Well, maybe not sysaudit. Can I do it in log?
I was just thinking log. Like the gs.log, wherever all that goes.
Not cog. It's just a cog in a machine. Oh, I got logged out.
Jace is like, why are you querying sysaudit? Because he thought it would be cool to put the message that we're doing there.
Why am I querying sysaudit? Well, see, Jace, Sarah specifically requested.
The first thing we do when we get in the ServiceNow instance, I want to like write in the ServiceNow instance somewhere, Sarah was here with like intentional misspellings and everything, you know, kind of like you would do like writing on the bathroom wall when you're in middle school. I hope my middle schooler doesn't think that and hear that and get ideas. But yes, that's what I want to do. I want to do the ServiceNow integrated equivalent of Sarah, of like back scrolling on the bathroom wall, and which makes you wonder, like, is the system logs, is that like the bathroom of the instance? Because that's where all the scrawly things happen, or is that like I don't know. And yes, I'm filing my nails while we sit here because I can't sit still.
Well, unfortunately, it's not looking like I can do syslog.
Kevin just put in the chat, Sarah was here, but he put it in leet speak, and that makes me so happy.
Jeez.
This industry is where I found my people.
All right, so it looks like we're going to have to go with sysaudit. I'm sorry. It just...
Well, like, how do I find it in there?
Same way you go to any other table.
Oh, okay.
So...
I don't want to go to the table, though. I want to go to the handy module. That's
reason is...
W-U-Z. There you go.
Sort of.
Why are you saying sort of?
Well, because this is the test. This is not actually going to put it there.
Oh.
201 created. Dear God.
It worked, didn't it?
We can insert into the sysaudit table, but we can't insert into the syslog. That's okay. The sysaudit will work. Oh, Lord have mercy. You're going to get what you want.
You know that point in what is it? The Halloween movie with the three witches, Hocus Pocus, right? Where they're like talking about running amok, and the youngest sister goes amok, 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 amok. Like that's my vibe right now.
So Jace has a non-stream question. Have you heard of 18F, the government group?
No, but now I want to. Let's Google it and hope Jace doesn't realize that.
Fill us in, Jace. Fill us in. And I'm going to try and find... Okay, so... I have to change the get to post because we're creating something.
So what would get do? Like get information versus post? Mean you make actual changes in
so
the server?
there are four different four main HTTP verbs. Well, I guess they're listing it 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There's also a couple others like head and maybe one or two others, but the main ones are get, put, post, patch, delete. I don't remember. Okay, I guess there's that one too. Get, post, put, patch, delete, and there's also head.
Oh, okay.
But basically, when you are sending an HTTP request, every HTTP request has to be associated with one of these verbs. Oh, sorry. When I'm talking, I have to show my face.
Well, yeah.
So whenever you're dealing with whenever you're sending an HTTP request, and let's kind of, I want to clarify something. So this may actually help you to understand. You know how whenever we're practicing different things with code, or I'm explaining a concept to you, I will hand you sticky notes?
Because, yes.
Okay? Everything in code can basically be simulated with sticky notes or note cards.
God bless America. That makes it easy for
Everything in programming is just moving data. And most of it can be represented, pretty much all of it can be represented as a file in some way, shape, or form.
That makes sense.
So when you are sending a... Oops. When you are sending a request over the network, if I open up this request, of course you'll see the URL it's going to, but you see this request method?
Yeah.
You have to send a method with it. Now, HTTP has a very specific file structure. So HTTP structure. Let's open this guy. Nope, not big enough. So the HTTP consists of a few specific elements. Here, right here, this guy. Let's zoom in on it. So the example of this request here, get that URL, HTTP 1.1, the version of HTTP, your headers, and then there's usually a body involved. But
sounds kind of sketch.
That's an HTTP request.
Mm-hmm.
When you request something over the browser, like you type in a URL in the browser, the browser builds this request behind the scenes and passes this little sticky note to the server you're asking from. And then it passes a sticky note of information back to the browser.
Okay.
That's all HTTP is. And HTTPS is when they turn around and they take this here and encrypt the crap out of it so that nobody else can read it.
Okay, but what you're doing isn't just asking the instance to send you stuff. You're wanting to change something on their server, which is why you have to use post instead of get, right?
Correct.
I'm learning.
Let's see. What was Jason?
HTML.gsa.gov.
A long time ago, we listened to a changelog podcast about it. It seemed like an awesome open group sharing their processes in public. Got to check out the guides. 18f.gsa.gov.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that one. Okay, so but yeah, so that's a post as opposed to the get.
So you're going to change your code to say post instead of get?
Yes, but it is a little more, only slightly more complicated than that, because if you look, get takes just URL and config. Post takes URL, data, and config.
Oh, so we have to set up the data object to contain like the information we want to contain.
There is a body to the request. So
let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Or what, the bodies hit the instance in this case?
Yes, let the bodies hit the instance. I like that.
That doesn't have the same ring. Instance shouldn't have.
Okay. You see how it says that this is the request body?
Yes.
Okay. That's
oh, so it shows you what you need to put in
the REST API Explorer does. Yes, it does.
Oh, well, that's freaking fancy.
So you notice
anytime you're wanting to like from outside like create something or send something to the server and tell it to create like a record or something, you can use the REST API Explorer to figure out what the request body needs to be structured like. And
yes,
like if you're trying to create an incident from outside, it'll probably tell you like the different fields on the incident form or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
At the end of the day, remember how I told you that HTTP is the thing that the browser uses?
Yes.
That's the message protocol?
Yes.
Okay. Well, REST is done over HTTP as well. It's all done over, basically, most of what happens on the internet is sent over HTTP or HTTPS, the secure counterpart. So basically, anytime in Service Portal, when you are doing c.server.get, c.server.update, or $HTTP, you're sending an HTTP or HTTPS call to the ServiceNow server. It's the same thing we're doing here. And I say that to illustrate that you a lot of times you've acted like, oh gosh, integrations, I can't do integrations. You've been doing integrations all along and not realizing it.
Gasp! That's like the big plot twist in my story here.
Yeah, I mean, a
really,
website...
I say that because, like, when you think, you think of, like, design and the visual and the art of it, integrations are, like, this really heavy cerebral code thing in my mind, and, like, design is this, like, it's like left brain versus right brain thing, so I always joke that integrations are, like, the opposite of design, and just ends up being, it's just become a big joke to me. It's like I go to the integrations channel in our company Slack, and I'm like, okay, guys, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I need your help. I ask them what I need for and everything. But so, without knowing it, I've been doing integrations all along, you're saying. Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Basically...
So I'm going to put on my resume that I'm an integrations expert now. And Nanda and our other friends that actually do integrations are just going to facepalm.
Well, and I mean, basically any website is just an integration between your computer and some server, some web server. Now, of course, integrations get vastly more complicated than that because there are other protocols, but a lot of integrations done nowadays are done over REST.
Yeah.
So it's no different than integrating a web browser to some server. All you have to be familiar with is what's the URL that I'm hitting, what's the authentication mechanism, because there's a few different ones, and and what's the structure of the payload moving back and forth. That's all an integration is, which is what you've been doing with Service Portal widgets. The only difference is that you have been defining both the structure of the payload being sent and the structure of the payload being received on both sides. Integration specialists usually don't have that luxury. We are usually stuck with whatever somebody else has given us. They're wadding up a paper note card and throwing at us and saying, here, do something with this.
And that's why, like, like in conversations with clients, knowing whether or not those systems that they're using has an API is such an important question to know. Like,
It is.
Is there something I can look up? Is there something I can go ahead and start researching to see, you know, what am I tying into and what have you?
Right. And at the end of the day, when you have something like ServiceNow, you have that REST API Explorer
Yeah.
that illustrates everything you need very clearly. And as you saw, I was pretty easily able to pick apart what I needed to submit those requests to ServiceNow.
Versus having to look through a huge API document that, you know, details all these things. Maybe because let's talk about ServiceNow and how they hide options in service portal widgets. Like, I've got a huge chip on my shoulder for that. I've been traumatized by it. But yeah.
Okay, so now, moment of truth.
Okay, so it should work now, right?
Refresh. We got the result.
Okay.
We reload over here.
It's our audits.
This is our sys audit table.
I can't believe it'll let you put something here, but not on the log, the system logs.
Sarah was here.
You have to put the camera on me for my reaction.
Oh, sorry. Reaction GIF.
Yes! That makes me so friggin' happy.
Jay says he can't wait till GraphQL becomes the normal. That's...
You're gonna pontificate, so you have to put it on you.
Oh. I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around GraphQL exactly. It's
well, let's for somebody listening, like, what is it? Short answer.
I'm not 100% sure.
951.
I'm not 100% sure. It's a structured data format, I guess is the best way to describe it, because
kind of like JSON's a structured data format?
Yeah.
But they've already thrown so much JSON at us. Why do they have to throw something else in there?
So typically in a REST API, in a traditional REST API, you'll have a bunch of different REST APIs. You know, like we've shown, you can hit the sys audit table.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to hit a different table, you have to hit a different endpoint. So GraphQL is basically simplifies the whole thing to where you basically tell the server what data structure you want. You describe what you want the output to be, and the GraphQL server figures out how to assemble that data for you. Now, that requires systems engineers on the back end that do really fancy stuff. It's already built into ServiceNow. ServiceNow already has...
Jace is pretty much echoing what you say.
Yeah.
One endpoint, but you declare what you want and how you want it. Well, that's freaking fancy.
And really smart system engineers basically have to create the mappings on the back end that allow the server to build arbitrary payloads. But so in a way, you can think of it as instead of writing the glide record query, you write the JSON, and ServiceNow figures out what glide records are required to build that JSON. Yeah. Hold on. Reaction GIF. Mind blown.
You missed it. You got to be better about catching these moments where I just look at you like.
I gotta get quicker on the trigger.
You really do, because like.
I'm gonna get like a
little
clicky thing in my
like
hand.
Yes,
the bomb detonation button, so that when I want to jump to you, it's just pow right there.
So you can show people how I look at you. Like, are you serious?
But
okay, so we did the thing.
So we wrote to sys audit. Now I'm gonna upgrade this just a little bit. Okay. First.
Got 6 minutes though.
I know. First, I'm gonna change this to a post.
So wooden post.
Router.get /graffiti. See how we you see here how we can assign multiple verbs: get, post, put, delete to the same endpoint.
Yes.
Same applies on ServiceNow. Same applies here. So what I'm going to do is grab these guys Let's see. As long as it has proper permissions, it should be possible, says Kevin. I kind of want to see. I have not pushed the GraphQL stuff on ServiceNow to the limit yet. I mean, in theory, it depend. In theory, it could be done. It just depends on how ServiceNow has set up the routing layers for routing a query to the data points, to the data sources. Yeah, Jay says GraphQL for table reads and writes isn't documented yet. Yeah, I've messed around with it and I've kind of spliced some things together, but I don't know how reliable that stuff is.
You've been doing hacky stuff.
So I'm gonna grab this view, get homepage. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new view, and this one we're gonna keep real simple. I'm gonna say graffiti. In the
audit thing. Because ServiceNow's lame and won't let us put in the syslog and the system logs.
okay. So then I'm going to use a form with an input.
Oh my gosh, you'll have a front end with an input and you put it in there and it sends it to the thing.
Input. Oh, I guess that doesn't. I guess that's an open and close. It's a way to learn. It doesn't help when learning it in ServiceNow. They're like, you make everything first, then you can use it. Yeah, ServiceNow hasn't quite made it simple yet. HTML form submit.
I can all hope that one day it will be simple.
Let's see. Try yourself. Form action is what I wanted. Action is equal to /graffiti. So that's going to cause it to post to this endpoint.
Okay.
Okay. Input. Type text. Name is message, and button /button, and I think type equal to submit, maybe something along those lines. Okay.
Well, there's an input type submit.
Yeah.
So it should do the same thing.
It should. Yeah, it should. And response dot send. I'm just going to throw something in there for now. And what I'm going to do is request dot body. Here, we'll do that. And response dot send view. Okay, so now if I reload, see, I got a page.
Okay.
Okay. Submit. And I actually have to do, I'm actually going to have to do a bit of inspecting here. Okay, so graffiti doesn't look like it's what I want is a post. HTML form post. Form, method. Need to add on the form method equal to post. Inspect element, network. Okay, clear. And let's reload and then test it and submit. Graffiti. We have a post. We have a message.
Okay. So do we need to check the log in your instance to see if it actually sent it?
Okay, request.body.message. Yes. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to take this code here and we're going to take this, not that whole thing, just the request body.message, and I'm going to replace the reason with that message.
So it's dynamic now.
So now it's dynamic. And then we need a proper response. We'll do constant view equal to HTML. Carlos says, hey guys, tomorrow I'm going to celebrate my first ServiceNow cake. Congratulations, Carlos. That's awesome.
I want a ServiceNow cake.
That's for the implementations. Have you not been part of a ServiceNow cake yet?
I was part of a Go Live cake. I actually got to design the little Go Live cake on my very first project, and then COVID hit.
Oh.
Well, I had a couple of government projects that were really long term, so there really wasn't a Go Live cake for them. But then, yeah, COVID hit, so I haven't got to like be in person for a Go Live cake.
That's sad.
Yeah. I'm ready for things to get back to normal. So, you know, I could, like, maybe actually attend freaking Knowledge.
And I guess I'll replace the form in this one. We'll do an H2.
I'm going to go in and secretly change your H2 to an H1 so all your code, all your styles break.
Now, of course, there's absolutely no error handling, and I'm just going to ignore that, by the way. There's obviously no error handling in this right now, so it would say success even if it failed.
Which is awesome.
Okay, so graffiti. Travis was here.
Ugh, you and your proper spelling.
Submit.
What is your problem? Didn't get your success.
No, that's because I am sending response.data. That's fine. I can live with that. And if I go to this guy, refresh list.
Is it in there?
Travis was here.
Nice!
So now we have created, we've actually demonstrated creating an application in Node.js that can connect to a ServiceNow instance. Now, we are far from done with this.
Oh, yeah, this was just like the test case for doing something.
Right.
But this, I'm already looking at this as the basic template for, oh my goodness, I could like reach in the instance and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Kevin says fondant is nasty. We're still talking about the cakes in chat.
Well, yeah, because everybody loves cake. Cakes have layers.
Cakes have layers.
Cakes.
Everybody loves cakes.
We really like the pop culture references.
But yeah, so bottom line is that at this point with, and I'm going to make myself feel better by responding with my post view. And we're going to go here and...
You're being a
Submit. I know. Leave me alone. Success.
There you go.
And then, of course, if I refresh over here, yay. Um,
You and your yays.
So Jace asks, what is the Docker purpose here? I mean, it's overkill for this app, in my opinion. Well, I mean, yes, obviously what this app has so far is jack squat and nada.
I think the ability to scroll graffiti into an instance totally justifies the 3 sessions we spent just setting up the freaking environment. No, we're gonna do more. This was
this is just a start. So we've got a whole bunch of different ideas for tools that I personally want off platform, because not every customer I have is keen on me installing
a bunch of stuff in there.
a bunch of stuff in their instance.
So, but why Docker?
We'll get there. I'm getting there. So we very rarely have. I very rarely have a customer that says that I can't touch the REST endpoints, but a lot of times I'm told, no, you can't install that application. We have to get that approved. Yada yada yada. And it's completely understandable. But that leaves me without tools that are very valuable to me. So I don't want to invest a bunch of time and effort building a ServiceNow app that I can only use on specific projects. Jace asks, what kind of tools do I want to make? Well, I do plan on making at least some of these on Code Creative Live and continuing this series, but code analysis tools. I want to build out actual abstract syntax trees for code analysis as opposed to just regexing everything. My hope is to do some static code analysis to identify nested glide records, for example, for performance analysis. My hope is to be able to run some best practices analysis to identify issues. I'm also hoping to create some tools for collecting metrics. So, for example, let's say that I'm coming into a portal implementation and I want to know, well, how good is your current portal working? Yeah, I mean, the current dashboards exist, but I wouldn't exactly call them keying off of important metrics for success of a portal. I mean, they're somewhat useful, I guess, but it's not the stuff that I typically look at. It's not the stuff that I gun for. And I want to build the tools that lets me click a button, pull the data, show the data in a format that I want to see it, and generate the reports that I will show to customers and say, hey, I would recommend doing this, this, and this because this is what I'm seeing in your instance. And I want to be able to set these tools up in a way that I can easily use it across instances with less friction. And of course, I'm still going to encounter some instances out there that are, really high security that even this won't work, but I don't know. We'll see how those go. This will cover most of my use cases. So that's some of the stuff that I'm looking at. I've got a few other random ideas out there as well. But I think that kind of covers the gist of it. And of course, diffing tool. There's a really incredible DevOps tool out there called Xtype. I've been really impressed by their product. I wish I had it with every customer, but unfortunately, that's not how life has panned out. But one of the tools they have is something that lets you basically compare instances, basically diffing instances to see what's different between them. And I really want that tool. I'd love to have the rest of their tool, but I'm not going to re-implement their entire tool. If you want their tool, you got to go buy it. But the diffing tool is something that I would personally find very useful. And it's not a major feature of their tool, so I don't feel too bad about implementing something fractionally similar. But if you do get a chance, go check out Xtype. It's an amazing DevOps tool for ServiceNow. I highly recommend it. And that's not an advertisement. That's just, I'm not getting paid for this. I really should be. I'm really bad at monetizing.
Yeah, you are.
It's a good thing Mike pays me.
It's a good thing Mike pays you. You give people the shirt on your back.
I know. Yes, Kevin. X-type. So ServiceNow, X-type. Xtype.io. Yeah, I know. Sarah's warning me that it's time and I got to wrap it up because she needs cookies. Xtype.io. This tool is incredible for migrating code between instances, managing your DevOps cycles, comparing instances, code search. It's got a lot of stuff in there. Just get a demo. Get a demo of this tool. It is well worth the time just to be familiar, just to be aware that it's out there. This thing would have saved me, days, weeks, months of time on different projects of troubleshooting and trying to find issues in between instances. Just would have been incredible.
You know what else is incredible?
Cookies?
The thing that the rest of your audience in the chat is saying is incredible.
Cookies.
Cookies. Although I don't know if I'm up for cookies tonight.
Well, I'm getting cookies.
Oh, you can have cookies.
But yeah, so that's the direction we're going, and the reason that Docker, to circle back on that one before I wrap up, the reason that Docker is a big fit into this is because I will likely be adding a database, probably MongoDB, because I'm just stashing garbage, which MongoDB is really good at. But because I want to have those, because I may have multiple different containers here, it makes sense to have a Docker environment, because then other people can spin this tool up on their own servers, on their desktop using Docker Desktop. Other people will be able to use this tool, and it is also on my GitHub. So if you go to GitHub, I do have, have I not pushed it yet? Oh, there it is, Now Army Knife. So I am sharing the Now Army Knife.
You're still paused.
What do you mean I'm still paused?
I don't know, you've got a yellow outline. Are you paused? Or are you actually okay, you're sharing.
I'm
Sorry,
showing.
Just
I'm
kidding,
showing.
Shutting up.
So I am sharing the Now Army Knife tool on GitHub, and I'll be pushing everything up there. Kevin asks, monetizing? Yeah, I'm terrible at monetizing. I honestly don't do it at all. If Mike didn't pay me, I wouldn't make money.
If you put like a Patreon or something on this website, people would support you, because I know how grateful they are for the help that you provide.
I've been thinking about that, but honestly,
cover your costs, because
I don't have that many costs.
All this equipment, how much did we spend at Best Buy the other day?
It's gear. It's for fun. It's for fun.
Okay.
I'd probably just end up donating it anyway, which I am considering, but yeah, Jay says Docker is nice if you implement this everywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's the big advantage of Docker, is that I can easily share this and other people can then make use of it on their systems. Docker's also great for orchestrating multi-server environments. So when I do add MongoDB, you'll be able to stand up both the Mongo database and the Node.js all in one shot. So it keeps the environment all together. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're going with this. Tonight we got a good start by setting up the graffiti endpoint so that we can scroll on the audit log. Next time I think we're going to focus a little bit on UI, because as you saw, our UI stuff is really sloppy right now. So I think we're going to move to building out some components and such on the client side, and probably set some stuff up so we can more effectively handle, calling JavaScript to the server instead of using traditional HTML forms. That kind of bugs me a little bit. I want to put it back in a ballpark I'm a little more familiar with.
You don't like HTML forms?
I like Ajax. I like the error handling in Ajax. So, I want to be able to better handle those types of processes.
Right.
So
next time we'll put a UI on it that's actually usable, and then we can see what all we want to do to it.
Yep, Pretty much.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. So thanks a lot for joining us, and hope to see you next time.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.